Dear all, today's topic is HRD Strategies and Styles. HRD is Human Resource Development, how important a human resource development activity to achieve the organizational goals and objectives. That is what we are going to discuss in this topic. Human Resource Development is a comprehensive guide in developing organizational capability, which means in developing the employees of organization, making them capable of achieving the organizational goals and objectives, not only for the present trend, but also for the future. Next is we are going to discuss what is HRD. HRD is a planned and continuous process. So we are not going to make decision as and when the time requires. We are planning ahead of forecasting the future, what will be the next trend or future plan of our organization. Based on that, what we have to do with our existing employees. So we are saying that it is a planned and continuous process to develop employees' competencies, commitment, and culture so the organization can achieve its organization goals. The only thing is we have to remember always that everything is done in order to achieve the organizational goals. It focuses on learning and performance improvement. It focuses on learning and performance improvement. So every employee in the organization should only focus on learning new things, whichever is coming on their way, in order to improve their capabilities to match with the organization. The next is HRD strategy and roadmap. We are going to discuss about how we are going to develop ourselves in the organizational or to achieve the organizational objectives. The first thing is we need to identify why we have to go for a development of strategy. Just like that, we cannot copy what the other companies are doing, right? What is our need? What is the company's vision? What do we want to do in the next 10 years or 5 years? How our business trend is changing in the environment? What we have to do with the organization, that has to be identified. So identification of needs is the most important, and that too for present as well as the future trend of the organization. Second step is building capabilities. Identifying what we have to do or what we want to achieve in the future is over. The next thing is, in order to achieve the future capabilities, what sort of training need to be given to employees has to be planned. Likewise, nowadays we are saying that every company is automating all its processes, not only the HR processing, even the CAD system is there to monitor production operations and everything, right? Now, apart from automation, now the employees should be capable of using all AI tools in order to make their job more efficient and time saving one. So, companies have to train their employees in using the AI tools. So, that is what we mean to say as building the capabilities. So, in building the capabilities, there should also be some positive motivation for the employees, like job rotations, and there should be enough space to develop to the next level in the same organization. That is more important. And then, after building capabilities, we have to check the effectiveness. Whatever we have done so far will be enough to meet the present and future needs of our organization. How we are going to calculate? The first one is ROI, return on investment calculation. How much the organization has spent in achieving the organizational goals or in giving the training, and what is the return it has gained due to that, how much wastage is reduced or how much time is saved, so that we are able to earn more profit. And like conducting HR audits, the performance of the employees in the past and after getting training, how it has improved. Then all these need to be measured, that is measuring effectiveness. Then fourth one is sustaining culture, which means the employees have learned something that has to be practiced every day. That is more important, right? And that should continue for a long period of time till we go to the next level of change. So whatever comes in the way in the same strategy has that kind of learning or knowledge has to be achieved. Then key objectives of HRD. Why HRD is required in the organization? First one is in order to improve the competency. Okay, that is the first one. In order to improve the competency, we need to have human resource development. The competency may be technical, managerial, behavioral, for developing the organization. Technical is what is the technological advancement that has happened in the industry that has to be learned. Then how to manage people. Nowadays, many employees are from various culture. Okay, how to manage them, understanding their background, and how we are going to bring a behavioral change which makes that as an organizational culture. Okay, next is performance improvement. What do we mean by that? By conducting audit or performance management or performance appraisal, we are able to find out what are all the skills that our employees possess and what are all the skills that are required for the future development. And we have to fill that gap by giving additional training that is enhancing productivity. Next point is career planning, succession planning and internal mobility, which means future planning. Succession planning is whether we are going to promote people from within the organization when there is a vacancy at the top level or middle level management, or we are going to get people from outside, whether it is succession planning or internal mobility from within the organization. That has to be planned. So for that, they have to analyze what are all the skills required and whether it is better to go for internal mobility or select from the external environment. Then employee engagement, which means we have to understand the employee's quality and give them the right kind of jobs and duties, make them feel committed towards the organization. When they have the satisfaction and commitment, it always results in employee turnover, that is reduction in employee turnover, which means the employees are working in the organization for a long period of time, which brings totally committed and loyal employees towards the organization. The next is leadership development. When we have satisfied and loyal employees in the organization, there is a trustworthy relationship between the leader and the subordinates there. So leadership development, what sort of leadership style need to be followed at all levels of management, right? There are different levels. We know that lower level, middle level and top level. So each kind of manager should go for a different activity. That is building relationship, leadership pipeline. The next is organizational development, which means when we want to bring in a new change into the organization, it may be a hierarchical change or technological change or time management in the office, whatever it requires a new change in the minds of organizational employees. It brings a cultural change, right? Whether it is, say, for example, instead of signing in the attendance register, they want to go for biometric cards, punch cards, then that is also bringing a change, right? So for this, it has to be brought in. It has to be imbibed in the employees by clearing their doubts. When we want to go for advancement, it is going to be beneficial to organization only. It is not going to affect their job anyway. Giving them a secured feeling, bringing them a change is more important. Then we are going to discuss about 7 types of HRD strategies. One is competency based, which means identify the core competencies and build them systematically. We need to identify what is our strength. It is not you are comparing everyone and finding out which one we need to build. Instead, we'll analyze ourselves, our company, and find out which is our first point or beneficial or plus point for our organization, where we are very strong. That has to be identified and that has to be focused on till the continuance of that organization. And second one is performance based. Here there is as we discussed earlier, we have to identify the performance gaps of employees. What are all the skills that are possessed by the employees and what need to be developed. And that has to be developed by way of coaching or performance improvement plan, or by providing continuous feedback to the employees they are made to change. The next is talent management strategy, which means, so these are all not totally mutually exclusive. These are all interrelated only. Any one strategy can be followed. Talent management is you attract most talented people while recruiting itself and change them, develop them according to our organizational needs by providing them excellent career paths and career opportunities in the organization. The fourth one is learning organization. We have to create a culture of continuous learning. Every employee should be willing to learn new things, whatever it comes into their way of life or in the practice. They shouldn't hesitate to learn new things, which will make them to stand in the organization for a longer period of time. Next is bringing a transformation. Whenever a new structure, new program has to be imbibed in the organization, it brings some changes in the timing of the organization, the way they work with the digital world, and also other things. Then leadership development. Building a leadership pipeline, that is using all kinds of counseling to the employees, using mentoring, action learning project and assessment. We need to follow them. Having a leadership which is more participative and mentoring oriented kind of leadership will help them more. Then next is HRD styles. So what are all the styles that can be followed, which means towards always the leadership styles. There are four kinds of HRD styles. One is reactive, proactive, directive, and participative. Reactive is after finding out some problem within the organization, we are finding what are all the causes of problem and consequences of problem, how it can be fixed and what can be done to change, to come out of that problem. That is reactive style. Proactive style is you expect something will happen, something will go wrong in the future and you want to change that. Anticipated needs means you know that now most of the AI tools are there in order to replace the employees, and people need to learn more usage of AI tools, and you give enough training to your employees to withstand that future plan. That is proactive. Directive is only from the top level management. Every instruction is given and it is standardized for every employee. They have to go by that same standard. Participative is whenever some new changes take place, employees are also asked to sit together and discuss and find out some new style strategy in order to go for achievement of organizational goals. Apart from that, there are also additional kind of styles, HRD styles. One is paternalistic, which means a fatherly approach. The organization, top level management takes care of their employees on their welfare and build a loyalty relationship, which reduces the initiative. And second one is coaching. People are there to learn more things, but they need the comfort zone. So that kind of comfort zone is provided by the mentors. Some people are allocated to one particular individual who is a mentor, will give some personalized guidelines, which makes them more in a comfort zone. Then empowerment oriented style, where the full freedom is given to the employees, that they are just given what they want to achieve. They are not given instruction how they need to achieve. that is empowerment oriented. The next is technological driven. That is what we are discussing now. Making them to make use of all the digital platforms and tools in order to make their job in a better way. And HRD and human resource accounting. Just we are going to discuss about when there is HRD, we are also, they need to develop their human resource accounting also. We are finding out previously employees are considered as the expenses for the organization. We also now say that it is cost to company, right? Now people have understood that employees are the resource and asset for the organization. So for them also we are following accounting. Accounting, or we are saying that as human capital in financial terms. So that is also there in human resource development. There are three important focus that is given. One is training investment. When we give them enough training, it is not expense to the organization, it is investment. Like we are buying a new machinery, it is also an investment. Then even after such training, how much they have improved in output and quality, and due to this the employee turnover is reduced. Employees are retained in the organization for a longer period of time, which is called as human capital ROI, return on investment. How it is calculated is revenue, which where the operating expense and compensation is deleted, which is divided by total compensation. Then HRD is also need to be like accounting. When there is accounting, it has to be audited too, right? So HRD audit, how to make them effective. First one is we have to find out whether the participants, employees like it or not, whatever we have brought in. Second one, whether they have learned from the training program, they have acquired their skills or not. Then due to this, their behavior has been totally changed. How they work, how they walk, and what time they take to complete the work. All this, whatever training they have learned is applied in their day-to-day work. And due to this, what they have achieved. These has to be audited in order to find out the effectiveness.